Hello, everyone. Today we're speaking about a very, very hot topic when it comes to AI and its trustability. As you know, AI can create a lot of value, plays a major role in our lives, but from a business perspective, to be used, it needs to be trusted. Actually, not only you should trust the AI as a business, but also as an individual. So, Michelle, can you help me define trustability and what does it mean, and what are the definitions of this key component of AI?
Okay, so first and foremost, trustability. So trustability is the notion that a product, a machine, or an algorithm can be trusted. Now, what is trust? Trust is different from faith, right? So remember, the definition of faith is to believe in something even though you don't have proof of it, right? Trust is built over time. You and I have trust because we've been working together for a couple of months, right? And you believe me when I tell you I will be here on this date on this time. That's trust, right? Now it's important to have that kind of trust with something like AI because not a lot of people can see the data behind the algorithms. So that first is what trustability is. And now
Hmm.
for what is trustability in AI. So as you can
Well,
imagine, yes,
sorry,
please ask.
this is a topic that I like, and I'm a little bit
Excited.
anxious to share my viewpoint. But before I share my viewpoint, I want to get your viewpoint as a non-technical expert
Mhm.
of this field. So go ahead, please.
Yes. So trustability in relation to the ethical aspect of artificial intelligence, I do think that it is incredibly important for the companies that are going around and they're employing a lot of these like machine learning algorithms for daily use, that they can actually stand their ground and say that, okay, you can trust that our algorithms will work and that we have taken the ethical considerations behind them, even if we don't explicitly show you how the algorithms work, if we don't show you the data set, right? So you need to really, that's the importance of trustability in AI.
Yeah, and I think that there should be some guided principles. I'm pretty. Uh, I understand that you cannot disclose everything, okay? But
Hmm.
there's maybe you could disclose some guidelines that reassure the users of AI that AI was trained or was created with some principle that make it safe, that make it unbiased, that make it trustable. Um, there is another aspect I think which is very important, and it's about the data that you're using. So when you are creating an AI for the first time, it's very unlikely that this AI will stay the same over time. So the amount of data that you're using and the type of data that you're using to update your models and to update your AI needs to be screened. Quality assessment needs to be performed, and these kind of checks need to be done all the time. Okay, so it's not a one-off experiment or a one-off sample of quality. This is still this is still very, how can I say, we're still in the early days of AI. Very few people have already deployed AI for more than like 2 or 3 or 4 years, and I think
Hmm.
these problems will emerge very quickly in the future. So, can you tell us a little bit more, Michelle, on how we could think about measuring trust in AI? Because, I mean, trust is, I imagine, a human prerogative, right? And it's probably difficult to measure it, but you thought about it and you did some research about this, right? So, can you share the results with us?
Yes, so according to the research, there are four concrete ways to measure trust in AI. The first one is reliability. So there's
Hmm.
always a chance for a misclassification or there's a prediction and error. And the thing is, you can measure this chance over time, right? You see like how many times is there an error, right? And then you can have that percentage. And then in that way, reliability gives you an actual number to assess. And the second way to measure trust is safety. So AI models are built on pillars of fairness and explainability, which is really important, and security. So this helps ensure transparent and a bias-free model. So you can think of like how we moderate machine learning, right? So at every instance, and this is something that you do with your company, right? You don't just let the model run off on like a certain set of data. You're always checking in. You need the human component of somebody looking at the data and saying, okay, this makes sense. So that's for safety. And then the third measure of trust is transparency. So a key factor required during the entire AI model's lifecycle is like for it to be monitored for fairness, right? And also like the performance, will it deteriorate over the life cycle, right? So you need to be transparent. How far can the model go, right? Are we pushing it beyond its limits, right? We need to be realistic on our expectations. So that's transparency. And the last one is responsibility and accountability, which is essentially to highlight the benefits and impact of AI within a defined boundary, right? So somebody has to take responsibility for what we determined to be the purpose of the machine learning algorithm, right? And that person has to be able to say at the end of the process if the goal was met and if it was not, and not to oversell, right? So you really need accountability for the algorithm itself. That's more than just looking and making sure that it did it make mistakes, right? So you need somebody, a human component, to be saying that, okay, I am responsible for this algorithm, and if it screws up, I'm willing to go back and say, okay, this is what we did, and maybe I did something wrong, and it wasn't just the algorithm going off, the rocks. But yeah, I hope that made sense.
Absolutely. And I imagine that there are at least 10 PhD students at the moment doing their PhD in each one of these measures. So this is a hairy topic. This is a fundamental topic. It's much more important, this stuff, than the algorithmic part. Much more important than improving of 5% accuracy on the data set XYZ. So you heard it, and if you are interested in knowing more, we are going to leave some references in the comment. Thank you very much, everyone, and thank you very much.